Maina and Benny claim that Main really defeated Gria, but Eka can't believe them seeing as they are tied up right now. They tell them not to joke around. They ask Eka to cut their throats and leave. Just then, Eka got an idea. She gives them a chance. If she makes it back from fighting the demon, they die. If Eka dies fighting the demon, they live. However, Eka wants to leave something for Maina. She gouges out Maina's left eye. Maina screams and squirms in pain. Eka then leaves them. Seeing Maina in pain, Benny tries his best to get out of the ropes. He later helps Maina get out and suggests giving up. Benny suggests running away together, but Maina reminds him of Benny's question about living as livestock. She tells him that to gain freedom, you need to pay a price. Maina shouts that she is ashamed of being the summoner of Jinkyung. Benny suggests treating her first, but Maina summons Jinkyung first. A blue light falls from the night sky, and Jinkyung appears, licking a girl's skin. The girl slaps Jinkyung and calls Jinkyung a pervert. Jinkyung apologizes, but Emily complains that her body always smells like saliva. Jinkyung claims that's the smell of happiness and runs away. Jinkyung shouts Emily's name as she disappears on the horizon. Jinkyung laments about being hated by his favorite anime character. Benny gets his attention, and Jinkyung notices Maina crying in pain. Maina says it's fine and mentions the demon first, but Jinkyung worries. Maina apologizes for being useless and interfering with Jinkyung's life. Jinkyung calmly tells her not to call herself useless, because she is not. Maina then cries out loud. Jinkyung thought about how to heal her and peeled off the bandage on his feet. Jinkyung tells Maina to stay still, but seeing the hair sticking to it, she screams and panics. Benny holds her down, and the bandage lights up. Her eyes are now better, but for some reason, she hates it. Meanwhile, Kaltovia destroys the villages in his path. People watch as the giant demon strides on the way to their village. Eka's team tries to attack Kaltovia's foot, but it is useless. Eka plans to use her magic knife. She orders the rest to help the nearby villages evacuate. She then goes alone to attack Kaltovia. Her assistant realizes that Eka doesn't want the same thing to happen again in her life, where her comrades die first. Eka worries that her knife didn't recharge enough mana, but she still activates the knife's shellcon. A long blade of flame appears, and she shoots it at Kaltovia's foot. It hit, but it was useless. However, Kaltovia notices and looks down on her. Eka tries to attack again, but the mana dissipates. Kaltovia prepares to attack, and Eka accepts her bitter fate. Just as Kaltovia started swinging his sword, Jinkyung arrived looking for the demon. Jinkyung gets surprised to see an eye patch character and calls her super cool, while Kaltovia attacks behind him. Kaltovia strikes his sword on the ground, and Eka is confused about why she's still alive. She looks up and sees Jinkyung flying and then falling to the ground. She can't believe that a person received Kaltovia's attack. Maina and Benny arrive, and Eka is surprised to see her healed. Maina tells her to trust them first, but Benny claims that Jinkyung is already in a better place. Benny cries while thanking Jinkyung for his sacrifice. Maina claims his spirit won't die and will just return to its original world. Just then, Jinkyung wakes up and complains about how it hurts to receive the attack. Eka gets surprised, and Maina introduces Jinkyung as the one who defeated Gria. Maina proudly talks about Jinkyung, but he pinches her cheeks, exclaiming that he is hurt. Benny exclaims that Kaltovia is attacking again. Jinkyung tells everyone to get back and brings out an object from his pocket. Kaltovia attacks him, and Jinkyung is sent flying. Jinkyung fights back and turns on his laser pointer. The laser pierces through Kaltovia's body and reaches another planet, destroying it. Jinkyung realizes he was wounded and is impressed that Kaltovia managed to dodge the attack. He tries to look for a better item, but Kaltovia is already attacking him. He defends using his dad's lighter, which turned into a fire sword. With willpower, he manages to fend off Kaltovia's blade, and he counters using the fire sword. He slashes it forward, but Kaltovia fends off his fire sword. Kaltovia attacks again, but the lighter doesn't have fuel anymore. Jinkyung receives the attack, and he is sent flying through the mountains. Kaltovia randomly slashes the same area where Jinkyung flew. Eka and Benny shout that they need to get away, but Maina senses that there is something wrong. Jinkyung wakes up, and Maina finds him. He confesses that he has already used up all his items. Seeing that he won't die, he knows he has some power, but he can't bring it out. Jinkyung apologizes to Maina. Just then, Kaltovia prepares his lance, which can put the whole area on fire. Meanwhile, Jinkyung apologizes and claims that his real self is useless. Maina shouts and claims that Jinkyung is an amazing person. She then plans to prove that. She calls out Eka and asks for her shellgun. Eka claims they'll be dead and that she will never trust the king's puppets. Maina shouts that, just like their mercenary group, she is also trying to protect someone. Eka can't say no and throws her shellgun knife. Maina gives it to Jinkyung and claims that he can use the shellgun using the mana from his world. Eka shouts at them to stop having magic lessons, because Kaltovia has just taken out his lance and activated his magic. Maina tells Jinkyung to use incantation, concentration, and then mana. Using the shellgun, he needs to imagine using the mana of his world and use his own magic. Kaltovia attacks with his flame lance. Jinkyung grabs the shellgun knife while shouting that he also wanted a real fantasy weapon. He uses the knife to block Kaltovia's attack. He thrusts an attack forward, and Kaltovia's lance starts breaking apart. The attack pierces Kaltovia as well, causing the demon to explode. Jinkyung knows he is a mess in his world, but he can be someone in this fantasy world. The next day, Jinkyung wakes up from a stiff sleep. He goes outside and sees people gathering the dead. He thought fantasy worlds were fun based on the anime he watched. However, monster attacks or wars can cause people's deaths, and he also realizes that having no internet is indeed scary. Meanwhile, Eka apologizes to Maina. She can trust Maina, but not the king, because he might also be trying to take advantage of her. Maina also realized it, and that's why she wants to check the north. Later, Eka gives them money and apologizes for everything. Eka and her assistant also mention the bards, who are the main source of news regarding the king's bad reputation. Eka then gives the shellgun knife to Jinkyung and asks him to take care of Maina. However, he starts acting cool. They later go their separate ways. Afterward, Jinkyung gets mad that Eka was the one to hurt Maina. Maina asks Jinkyung to understand because Eka is just someone who tries to protect others. She further tells them that she realized a lot of things thanks to Eka, like making your own choices and what responsibility means. Meanwhile, Alira meets her father. Her father then discusses with another nobleman about Maina's party defeating Gria. The other nobleman then mentions a rumor from the bards that Kaltovia appeared and got destroyed. The two women and the other nobleman suggest doing something when Maina's party reaches the port city. In a forest, a bard troupe discusses being hired to target someone. They are tasked with targeting Maina's party, because they are dangerous according to their higher-ups, and the leader asks who is going to do it. Lua, the feminine-looking bard in the group, accepts the task and goes home. Lua's mother hits Lua for wasting her time singing nonsense. She compares Lua to their neighbors. The crying Lua shuts the door and runs away. Lua swears to succeed in the task and come back proudly. Meanwhile, Maina and Benny struggle to pass through the forest. Jinkyung doesn't feel tired and assumes that his body now understands how to use mana. Benny asks if Jinkyung has seen the sea. Jinkyung then finds out that the two teens haven't seen the sea yet. He starts to describe it, but he is actually only repeating what he has heard on TV and the internet. They then reach the sea, but Jinkyung is confused, seeing a different sea than he knows. Suddenly they hear a roar and assume that it is a demon. They ran in its direction. Meanwhile, Lua is being attacked by a demon. Lua lies down, regretting accepting the mission. Just then, Jinkyung arrives complaining at the demon for attacking a girl and leaps forward. Everyone looks at him, not reaching for the shellgun knife. Maina screams at him for putting it there. Jinkyung asks for a timeout, but the monster sends him flying with one hit. Lua wonders who that loser was. The demon roars and Lua runs away from it. Jinkyung recites his embarrassing incantations and slashes the demon in half, including the mountain from afar. The demon explodes and Lua recognizes them as the targets of the task. Jinkyung asks if the beautiful flower is fine. Lua claims that he is fine. Everyone falls silent for a while, and Lua asks if something is wrong. Jinkyung asks why Lua's voice is so deep, and Lua claims that it is normal for a guy. They fall into silence once again. Later they introduce each other, and Lua finds out that they are going to the port city. Lua offers to take them to the Bard's Hall so he can repay them for saving him. Maina is happy, but Jinkyung lets out a sad sigh. He asks Lua why his hair is long. Lua explains that his troop tells him to do so. Lua apologizes, but Jinkyung explains that in his world, who cares if they're a man or woman? They just need to taste good. The others react differently, and Lua concludes that Jinkyung is dangerous after all. They arrive at the Bard's Hall, but it was recently destroyed by a demon. Lua claims there's a basement, and Maina offers to help with cleaning. Benny tells Maina to look for a boat first or else they will travel by land. The three then leave and Lua brings out something. Lua is tasked with making the targets sleep, and people will come to finish the job. It is their chance to make real money. Lua wonders if the potion will work on the spirit. The leader then tells Lua something. Maina's party sees the destroyed village. They think Kultovia is the cause, knowing that the demon is tall and can cross the waters. Maina claims there were no demon attacks from the waters because the port city is protected by the goddess of the sea, Aya. Jinkyung laughs and claims that there is no god. The church is scamming people by lying to them. They arrive at the docks and see the boats destroyed. They see a light and approach it. They see someone repairing an intact boat. The old man didn't respond to them, and someone appeared to tell them that the old man doesn't talk. Benny tells the man that they are looking for a boat. The man claims that the old man has fixed it a bit, but there is another problem. The sea has a low tide, and the boat can't get out. The man concludes that the goddess of the sea has forsaken them. Later, Maina's party returns to the Bard's Hall, and Luo welcomes them in the underground hall with a warm fire, bedding, and meals. Jinkyung disgustingly looks at Lua and tells him to cover himself. Lua apologizes and explains that it is his performance attire. Maina thanks Lua for the meal, and he walks away to get some drinks. As the party talks about their next plans, Lua pours the sleeping potion into their drinks. Lua comes and accidentally mentions potion instead of tea. He cries, knowing he failed. However, the three receive the drinks. Maina then asks Lua about the tides. Lua mentions a legend about Aya and the bards. Aya was originally from the demon side. When people learned she loved songs, bards gathered and created the most beautiful song in the world as a tribute to her. Aya gives them a blessing, making the tide high at night to protect people from demons and low during the day to help fishermen. Jinkyung tells them not to believe that. Lua exclaims that Aya selects the bard with the most beautiful voice. Jinkyung says it is not Lua, and Lua cried. Lua cries that he shared everything, but the three are not drinking their drinks yet. Just then, Jinkyung exclaims that he doesn't want to hear superstitions. Instead, he wants to know what Lua is up to. Did Jinkyung figure out Lua's plans? Will they be able to reach the north at this rate? If you want another part of the recap of this manhwa, comment below and make sure to like this video. Subscribe for more content like this, and see you next time.